chooses. That's why always pray, brothers and sisters, Ya Allah, help me to do whatever you think is best for me, and not necessarily what I think is best for myself. There was one of the ulama, may Allah bless his soul, he says, I pray for my hajat. I say, Ya Allah, give me this, help me with that, whatever. If Allah gives it to me, I am happy. If He doesn't, I am even happier. He said, how? Why would you be happier? He says, because then He chose for me. And I'm sure His choice is always for my advantage, for my own benefit. Okay? If we have that kind of an attitude, then sometimes we'll see throughout life that what we may pray for may not be the best thing. Allah may have another plan for us. He might accept our dua in a different way for us. It is said there was a man in Najaf, in the city of Najaf, who was a goldsmith. He used to sell jewelry. He was very wealthy, mashallah. However, Allah gave him wealth, gave him iman, gave him a good reputation, but took one thing very important away from him: children. He would not have children. One day, he was feeling very depressed, that I don't have any children. I have all this money. I have whatever Allah has blessed me with, but I have no children. When I die, who's going to remember me? He felt really bad. He felt depressed. He went into the haram of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and he prayed there. And he asked Imam Ali alayhi salam for his hajah, that I would like to be remembered after my death. A child can remember me. When I die, he raises his hand, or she raises her hand, and say, رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Oh Allah, forgive me and my parents. Have mercy upon them, like they raised me when I was little. He would remember me with some majlis, sadaqah, ziyarah, etc. I have nothing. And then he started crying. He prayed from his heart. He then left the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. When he left the shrine, his dua was accepted, but in a different way. He received an idea. He got an idea. And in my humble opinion, that idea was inspired to him through the barakah of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi. It did not come out of vanity. Allah accepted his dua, and hence Allah gave him. What is this idea that he got? He thought to himself, you know what? Why don't I write a book of dua? Book of dua. Mu'mineen want to read dua. So let me write a book of dua. This man was not a alim, a scholar. He was not a sheikh or a lecturer. He was not a student in the Hawza, the Islamic seminary. He was just a businessman. Yet he thought, you know what, I can write a book of dua, why not? Indeed, he started going, meeting with people, ulama, saying, what books do you recommend if I want to write a book of dua? So he put in the effort, he started researching. And then he compiled a book of dua. This story happened in the last century. It's maybe 60, 70 years old, give or take. A few years ago, I was in a country, I won't mention where, somewhere in Europe. I walk into someone's home, and I find that book of dua there, on the shelf of this mu'min's house. I asked that mu'min, do you read this book of dua? He said, yes, every day. When he said this, I thought to myself, subhanallah, this man who wrote this book is long gone. Yet, he is being remembered every single day by this person who is far away in Europe. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the dua of this man, the goldsmith. Not by giving him children, but in a different way. that is even maybe better. Because if you think about it, how often do we remember our grandparents or great-grandparents in our du'as? Some of us may not even know the names of our great-grandparents. If you go back maybe 5-6 generations, I don't even know their names. Okay. How many of us would do sadaqah on behalf of those? Khalas, they died, and their children, maybe they remembered them, but their grandchildren or their great-grandchildren, khalas. This man, his book of dua, as long as it's being read, he gets the thawab. Okay. And this book of dua in the Arabic world is probably the second or maybe third most famous book of dua after Mafatih al-Jinan by Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi radwanullah ta'ala alayh. After that book, maybe this is the second or third most famous book. So you see, brothers and sisters, never give up hope from dua. One should always pray dua. Dua gives us hope. Dua soothes our pain and soul. Dua makes us recognize the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and dua makes us recognize the greatness of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam.